Well, I don't have a favorite memory. I've got several, but I mean, growing up, some of the things I remember is playing football in Billy Mills' backyard, 3 houses up from here, Sunday afternoon, and playing football in Nelson Horton's backyard, which is now a paved parking lot behind the Medical Center Pharmacy. Where Laura Duncan Road is, I don't know what it was called before, but it was the longest, widest dirt road around. Highway 64 was not there yet. So I was probably 10, 12 years old riding my bicycle out to a friend of mine's house who lived on the other side of where 64 is. There were about 3 houses there. But like I say, riding a bicycle out there, and if a car came by, you just got mopped with dust. But going out to Mike's house, about where the Toyota dealership is now, several of us could walk back through the woods, and there's a thing we call a big hole back there, where water comes out of a culvert under the railroad. And where the water cascades down, it formed a big hole. And you go play in it, swim in it, and just be a young'un like you did back then. So I mean, it's just stuff like that that you remember. I mean, over here at the middle school, which was the 1 through 12, it had 2 big pine trees of some kind out in front of it. And me and neighborhood boys would climb up after school. Well, this one time, I climbed all the way to the top, very top, got the top swinging back and forth. And Swifty Quick, the principal, he come out and yelled at me, "Come on down," because he said, "Tommy, you know I'm not going up, so come on down." So I did. It's just crazy things that we did when we were young that just stick with you. I mean, I remember when all these roads around here were dirt, and when the pickup truck with the mosquito fogger used to ride around town spraying everything, we get on bicycles and run right behind it. That's just several blocks. I mean, I guess that's what's wrong with us these days. All the DDT or whatever was in the fog. But it's one of the things you did in the afternoon. You didn't sit inside and play on the computers, nothing. You played outside. So that's just some of the good old things I remember from back then. And Fireman's Day, Christmas parade, Christmas. Each storefront was decorated by the store owners, and there was a hole in the sidewalk out there close to the curbing, and there was a Christmas tree in it. And every store owner decorated those trees the way they wanted to. I mean, it was really a neat sight to come down the street. The trees lit up, the front storefronts lit up, and then whatever they had on the telephone poles lit up. It was, when people talk about small town, that's what I remember, because that's the way it was. And Fireman's Day. Now, Fireman's Day was the big deal here in Apex. You had a parade that started up, I think, about Hunter Street, went down Salem Street, and even though Highway 55 or William Street is a state maintained road, it was closed off, and the parade would go down Salem Street, turn to the left, and culminate over at the school, the middle school, which, like I said, was 1 through 12 then. And that old convertible fire truck, I think LaFrance, Ollie Yates or Guthrie Jones would drive that, and kids would pile on it, and it would ride around the fire department. And they'd have sack races, bicycle races. Had a pole that it had in the ground, be a greasy pole climb. You get a certificate, something on top for some prize. And that's the way it was. And when the festivities were downtown, or the 4th of July festivities, Saunders Street, which is where the police department is, it was dirt, and there was nothing down there but A.T. Seymour's livery stable. And like I said, it was dirt. You had bicycle races there, sack races, just good old things. My father was one of the founding members or charter members of the fire department. And his name's on the plaque out front with the rest of them. And one of the things, I don't know if it will show up, but this picture here of a horse-drawn steam engine, fire engine, my dad driving, and me sitting beside him, and Charles Balcom back in the back stoking the fire. And that was just, like I say, Farmers Day was the big deal around here. And that's probably most of the stuff that I really hang on to. What makes Apex home is mainly because I've been here all my life. My grandparents' house was right across the street. Then my parents built this house in 47 or 48. My grandfather was a dentist here in town. His office was above Anna's Pizza, and he was a past mayor of Apex. My wife's grandfather was a police chief at one time, and my dad was a charter member of the volunteer fire department. So it's just a lot of stuff pertaining to here. I mean, I remember when the roads were dirt, you rode bicycles around town. You're just a kid. I had two children, grew up here, played sports in middle school and high school. My son, he built a house here, and he married a girl who's Ann Moore, who was 25-year veteran on the police department. My father-in-law had a service station up on North Salem Street, and my wife, Pat, she walks to work every day at a beauty shop 2 blocks from here. She grew up down the hill here, 3 houses away, and her mother, who was 91, still lives in that house. So that's kind of why I call Apex home. I've just loved it. I mean, I remember when Apex was 2,000, 2,500 people, and you knew everybody. And it was just, you could walk uptown and you knew so many people. I mean, I went to the Methodist church growing up, and even Mr. Ernest Stevens, who rung the bell, sometimes he'd pull it a little hard and the bell would turn over, and he'd call me when I was probably about 14, and I'd climb up the steeple and turn the bell back over before church, next day. So it's just things like that. We used to have a garden right out here behind this chain link fence. Was like I say, a garden. Black man Willie Bullock lived over here in the lower end. He'd come over here and hook his wagon up and come over here and plow the garden. It's just home. Like I said, I was raised in this house. It's a good solid house, and I think that can kind of just sum up why I like Apex and why I see it. I mean, it's grown way more than I would ever have thought it did, and I don't understand where the hometown, small town feel comes from now, unless you come from a city of 200,000-300,000 people. Then I guess it's a small town, and people have been here 20 years talk about how Apex has changed. Well, they don't know anything. I remember when, like I say, when it was small and was a small town feel. So we still live, 3 blocks from uptown. We can walk uptown and eat. We can walk the food line. My wife can walk to work. This is home. Well, I know Apex will keep growing. So I hope that it will be maintained, the growth, about like it has been. Town has done a pretty good job. I mean, I hate to see all the construction and homes come in, because if you build something, people come. And to me, it's lost the hometown feel, but Apex has done a pretty good job, except for the roads, and they don't have a whole lot of control over that at times. Some of them are state maintained that come through town. But if the roads and the infrastructure could just keep up with the growth. I mean, The parks have grown bigger where they can accommodate present use and future use. So they've done a pretty good job. It's just way too big for me, but they've done a pretty good job at maintaining the growth with what they have here in town.